You are now listening to the Happily Ever Banter podcast. Let's go!
That was legit.
What's up, Jake?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, hey, so this is episode 7 of the Happily Ever Banter podcast with me and Kiki. We got the pleasure of having Mr. Jake Maddock on, all the way from Australia. The relationship and marriage coach, I guess you should say, right?
Relational coach.
Relational coach?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so we recently saw you online, and man, we saw you from another podcast, obviously, with Kristen Cavalieri. I was like, oh, man, I liked what you talked about. I started following your stuff. Same, I sent some stuff to my wife because she's a fan. And so reached out to you, man, and we appreciate you jumping on. I know it's early over there in Australia right now.
Yeah, 7 a.m. here, but happy to be here, 100%.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, well, let's jump into it, man. Like I said, I was really intrigued with a lot of your information. I know my wife has some stuff written down. I know she wants to talk to you, and we'll just kind of go from there, have a conversation, man, and get into it.
Sounds awesome to me.
So, hey, okay, so one thing, the coolest thing I saw, I saw you talking on the other podcast. I was like, okay, I was curious to know how much of your stuff is the 10 to 10 stuff is relationship based on, it seems like you do a lot of single coaching, and then how much of that relates to like a married couple like us that's been together for 22 years that, you get in those ruts and things like that. How much of your practices, I guess, translate to both?
Definitely a lot of the things I teach can definitely go to both sides. As far as the people I coach, I'd probably say 80% are single, 20% are in relationships. So the majority of people who do come to me are single, and then I show them all the things I teach, the masculine and feminine energy and the dating and all that sort of stuff. But the same things can be used in relationships. So for example, I'll teach single people how to do proper high value dates. And with couples like you guys, I'd recommend you take your wife on a date every week as well. And the date would be the same as still a proper high value date. Everything's still the same. It's just you know each other, but everything else, all the fundamentals are still the same.
Right. I saw you talked about high value dates. So we have I'm so bad with ages, 13 and 11-year-old, 13 and 11. And so like we try to do at least date. I mean, they're getting older now. So now, we don't have to have a babysitter. We can go and do our own thing. So like we try to have date night at least, once a week, or if we miss that week due to sports or whatever, we try to catch the following week. But so like our date night just really considers, getting out the house and doing a nice dinner to where we both can, communicate. I know it's kind of hard because a lot of times we'll have our phones out, which we probably shouldn't have our phones out. But like whenever I hear you talk about like high value dates. So like, I know we're taking the time out for one another to like, make time for one another, go to dinner. But what are some other options that you would think that we should do to, I guess, we already have a deep connection, but just something different that you would suggest we do,
Well,
besides.
we may just go like, okay, hey, we're going to go eat without the kids. Well, that's a date, but it's not a high value date,
Right.
I guess what you would say. It could be, but I guess what are your thoughts on that to be more intentional, I guess? Is that what the plan should be, to be high value?
So we got to make it more fun. So just going out to dinner can be a little bit boring sometimes. So the idea would be to have heaps more fun. Okay, so yes, intentional, but there's 4 reasons we go on dates. Okay, so the 4 reasons are to build attraction, embrace masculine and feminine energy, to make memories, and have fun. Okay, so as far as having fun's concerned is some fun activities. So not just going out to dinner, but there's a ton of fun activities. It could be anything from laser tag to mini putt, or like there's a million different fun activities you can do. Everyone's trying axe throwing, and there's lots of fun activities. But doing a fun activity as well as the meal, that's what makes a date really enjoyable.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a lot of times we're just like, okay, we're going to go out quick because they don't want to go, and we go get a dinner. And we kind of call it a date because it's a long time.
Yes.
But like I can get it. It's not like it's something like I heard you talking on you and your wife talking on one night. Like I asked her on a date. It was planned. We got dressed up. It's kind of one of the things like we're in workout clothes and we're like, all right, let's go eat. And it's not the same, you know.
Yeah, it's very intentional. It's planned out, and doing it the right way too. So, Dale, for example, you would say to your wife, "Hey, honey, can I take you on a date this Friday?" She'd say, "Sure, I'd love to." You plan the whole thing. You keep it a surprise. Don't tell her where you're going. Okay, just give her some hints on what to wear. So, if you're going to take her rock climbing, heels probably aren't the best solution. So just give her a few hints with that, but other than that, keep it a full surprise. Open the car door for her. Just plan a really fun, amazing date. There's a million things you can do. But yeah, that alone time, it can take a little bit of that magic out of the date. Hey,
Yeah, no, I see that. It's almost like we could say it's a date. You checking the box,
Right.
but it's not really. It's not really. Like I said, I like the high value stuff you talked about because it makes a lot of sense. Because it's easy to just go out and grab something. It may be something quick, but having a little more intention behind it, and I guess put a little effort behind it makes a lot more difference.
effort is very, very attractive. So women obviously love effort. Men love effort as well. We want to feel like our partner's putting a lot of effort because it makes our attraction for them go up. So effort, very attractive.
Okay, what do you got?
So, okay, so I have a question for you. So, like, I mean, I know we've been together for 22 years. So, like, you're going to have disagreements and stuff like that. So, how do you handle that? Because a lot of times, like, I like to have the last word. He likes to have the last word. And sometimes I mumble and then he mumbles back. So, how do you handle, like, a disagreement, without having, like, I guess each of us
Sure.
having the last word? I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff here. So disagreements are okay. We don't want a disagreement to escalate into an argument. The difference between a disagreement and an argument, you're disagreeing on what to have for dinner or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
An argument is a disagreement that's full of disrespect and aggression, which we don't have any space for that. Okay. So a really good way, there's a few quick little really good things you can do if you feel yourself falling into this trap of disagreeing, going for the last word, all that sort of rubbish. We want to get out of that thought. And I have this method we call the triangle method. Okay, so you got Dale, Kiki, then the relationship. Okay, always put the relationship first. So in that moment, you want to think to yourself, what's best for my relationship right now? What can I do that's best for my relationship now? Not what's best for me, not what's best for my partner, what's best for the relationship. Okay, that triangle method, remember that. That's going to make a big difference as well. And another big thing which makes a big difference when you feel yourself falling into that sort of thing, that's a good time for a 20-second hug as well.
I know. I did send her that. I was like the 20-second hug. I want to talk about that too. And I'm a very affectionate person. She's not so much. Like we've talked about before in our podcast about love language. Mine's more touch and affirmation. She's not that
Like
way.
mine's like receiving gifts
And so, but I see the value in that. And so I guess it's tougher, when you both aren't talking the same language on touch, so I've been trying to make it a point. I'll just go grab her and hug her and I'll start counting. No, I'm not joking. But no, like I can definitely see there's definitely value in that. Even same way with our kids, hugging the kids, kissing on the kids. That really, it's an easy way to show them you love them, and it's free. You know what I'm saying? It's not something you got to pay for to do anything. So I definitely like that part so much so that I sent her that piece. I'm like, hey, they got a few parts you need to listen to this.
I know, it was so funny. He came home from work and like I went in to give him a hug and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Let's just pause for a minute." And then he's like, "Did you watch that thing I sent you?" I said, "Yes, I did." But it's funny though, just like it's weird whenever you hug though, it's just taking time out of your day, whatever you are going through or whatever, just to pause and just hug. We only tried it that one time. We do hug and kiss all the time, but just to actually pause and like hug for 20 seconds,
100%. Twice a day, guys. 2 20-second hugs a day, every day.
Okay, we'll have to try that.
Yeah, I got to really make sure. I got to work on that with her. Hey, so you got the two books out. One of them, the other title, The Secret to Great Oral, is a great title. I mean, it's very very catchy. Whenever it catch you off guard. So what's your biggest thing behind that? Is that based just all around communication? Like, say, I think that's one thing we struggle with after being together so long is communicating, I guess, deeper and having conversations versus just, man, we're going through kids here, kids there, running life. So that's what I'm saying. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what's some things we can work on for better communication, or some tips and tricks that you have for married couples that you try to do to get 10 to 10?
Yeah, 100%. So there's two things that I want to talk about there. Quality time, guys. You want to make the opportunity for quality time. Okay, so no phones. Okay, quality time's that really intentional. You're trying to really create that quality time. So no phones, no distractions, lots of eye contact. Use physical touch at the same time as well. Okay, so you can really create that quality time opportunity to arise. And as well as that, what I want you to remember as well is feminine communication and masculine communication. Feminine communication is more indirect. It's a bit softer. It's more suggestive. Okay. Masculine energy, on the other hand, is more direct and it's more action focused. Okay. So, for example, a great feminine communication sentence would be something like, Kiki could put her arm on your shoulder and say, I would love if you took me on a date this weekend. That would make me feel so special, right? While smiling. You would automatically hear what she says, but not only that, you'd also want to do it as well. And that feminine communication sentence, which I want women to practice, is breaking up that sentence into 3 parts. I would love if you took me on a date this weekend. That'd make me feel so special. While doing that, if she had a big smile on her face and using physical touch at the same time, she's basically going to get whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I get that. So that's kind of what I was kind of curious about, and so that's a big part. I think another thing I was asking you, like, as far as, I mean, I know you're not a marriage counselor. You're not trying to counsel our marriage, but like for us, being busy and things like that, what are some things that us and other couples fall in the same thing to be more intentional in communicating, aside from that?
The best way to do it is to have something to communicate about. So I have these fundamentals, which I want couples like you guys to practice. Those fundamentals are some basic rules that I want you to do just habitually all the time, okay? Some of those rules are, you got the 2 20-second hugs a day, intimacy 3 times a week. I want you to go on a date every week. I want you to do a dual hobby and a dual goal, okay? Doing those 5 fundamentals every week, it's going to give you something to talk about. So a dual hobby may be, you might go and both do CrossFit together, or karate, or archery, or whatever. Some sort of fun social hobby where you could do together. That's going to allow you guys to bond over it, and also give you something to talk about, as well as having a dual hobby, a dual goal that you work on once a week as well. Maybe it's working on the garden, or putting in a new driveway, or something. Some sort of goal that you're working on together. That's going to give you also something to talk about in that time as well. And also making sure you're doing the intimacy 3 times a week, 2 20-second hugs a day, and going on a high-value date once a week where you don't have your phones and you're just talking one-on-one with no distractions as well.
Okay. So I know you mentioned the intimacy thing. So,
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So, yeah.
You guys.
On the intimacy, who should do the initiating? Like, I know we've been together for 22 years. And so, like, at the beginning of a relationship, I was always used to the man, him doing it. And still now to this day, I mean, I know we've been together so long. Like, I guess I still look at it as like he should, he's the man. But I know he wants me to pursue it too. But I always have a hard time because I always look at he's done it for so long, him going for it first, just making that first initial. But once it happens, I'm fine. But I look at it like that's a man's thing, get me all riled up,
100%. So I'd like to see the guy initiated probably about 90% of the time. Now, he initiates 90% of the time, but the woman's role is to sort of allure him into showing him, hey, I want you to initiate, okay? Kind of like a sunflower attracting a bee. You're saying, hey,
Yep.
You're flirting, you're being cute and flirty, you can initiate. it sort of gives him that green light in an indirect way, if you know what I'm saying, that flirty game.
Yeah, no, like I said, that's one thing I was kind of curious about because, like I said, I know intimacy and sex, that's a big part of relationships, man. Like that's, I think a lot of men, we feel like that's how we feel affirmation and things like that. I guess, I mean, I do. I mean, I probably speak for most men. We're all the same at the end of the day. So it is tougher whenever the female doesn't at all or much, and you want that, you communicate that, but that doesn't. It gets into a weird space. You can imagine just being a man.
Yeah. It's easy in a long-term relationship to fall in a bit of a rut, especially having babies and beforehand and pregnancy and lots of things that can easily fall into a rut where you guys aren't very intimate. That's very common and can be quite damaging to a relationship. So if you do feel yourself falling into a bit of a rut, some couples, which has worked really well, is they schedule it in. Okay, so they might say every Monday and Thursday we're going to be intimate. Okay, and then they only need to schedule it in for a couple of weeks, and then it gets the engine pumping, gets a bit of momentum going, and then they don't need to schedule it because they're back on track again. So every couple I've worked with, they schedule it in for about the first month, and after that, easy, smooth sailing after that.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good advice because, like I said, because there's sometimes, she's like, well, it's always, are you, like, they might not like that he's scheduled, but I'm like, it's one of those things where you're making sure you're getting that connection. I mean, that's what you're trying to do, right? I mean, that's the basis of it.
It's gonna feel awkward at the start. When it's scheduled in, it's gonna feel awkward, and you're basically like a pair of fish in a bed just sort of flapping around. And it's like, yeah, this isn't very passionate. But then you get into it, it's really, really good. And then the next time's even better. And the next time you get into a momentum. So it does work. It is awkward at the start. If you are a guy who's in a situation right now and the intimacy is not that good, don't be too emotional about it. Okay, one mistake guys can make is they communicate like women. They forget their men and they don't communicate their masculine energy. And they sit there and go, this is how I feel. You're making me feel unloved. Not effective. She's going to feel really bad about it. She's going to feel like a jerk. She's going to feel like she's a bad partner, which is going to make libido go even down more. Don't do that, guys. Okay? Just communicate properly. We probably should do it 3 times a week. I think that'd be best for our relationship. Just do normal communication, nothing too emotional. There's a lot of guys out here who forget about masculine energy, and it makes relationships a lot harder, and it's kind of embarrassing as well.
Yeah, I was listening to one of your other podcasts you were on recently with the guy in the UK, and that's when I heard you more explain about the feminine, masculine stuff. And it makes a lot of sense about you don't try to be sometimes, but sometimes you can be emotional as a guy, and you could see how that could potentially be a turnoff once you start acknowledging that. I guess when you hear that from another guy talking about that at another level, it makes a lot of sense. But it's probably tough to get out of that mold sometimes. But it's one of those things where you can be masculine about everything, but when you're not getting sex, if you're like you want it, you may be pouty about it. I can see that.
Yeah, for sure. It's understandable.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I could get, like you're saying, the woman's side of it to how they could feel. They would. It may be a turn off that you're not even knowing. You're sabotaging your own self by acting that way.
Yeah, a lot of failure comes from self-sabotage. That's very true. Making a woman wrong is a lose-lose game. Making women wrong is not an effective way to get something. It's the worst way to get what you want.
Yeah, I get that.
All right, I have another question for you. What do you think are the biggest challenges couples face?
Great question. Big question. There's a lot. Masculine and feminine energy is always a big one. People forgetting the fundamentals. That's a big one. Doing the fundamentals, that cures 90% of problems very, very quickly. Just doing those fundamentals, which I talk about. What that's going to do is going to raise attraction. Masculine,
those five
feminine energy of
Doing those
the
5
five.
fundamentals that you said earlier. Okay.
Yeah, the 5 fundamentals. So the 2 20-second hugs a day, 3 intimacies a week, a dual hobby, a dual goal, going on a date once a week. That gets rid of most problems just straight off the bat. As well as that, you got to make sure you effectively communicate. So a great question you can ask yourself before you talk to somebody is, how do I want this person to feel when I finish talking? If you ask yourself that question before you start talking, then you have a bit of an idea where you're headed. So you're a bit more future focused. Okay. So remember the effective communication, remember the masculine and feminine energy, work on improving attraction. So as far as attraction concerned, everything you say and do in a relationship makes your partner's attraction for you go up or down. Okay. So everything you guys are doing at the moment is making each other like each other more or less. Okay. Whether it's a 20-second hug or it's arguing or it's acting like a jerk or acting moody or acting joyous, all these little things are making the attraction go up or down, how much you like each other. Okay. So one of the keys to really long-lasting success is measuring and building attraction. Sensing how much does my partner like me? How can we make that go up a little bit? Okay. And this is a very confusing topic for a lot of people because a guy goes, well, she doesn't like me much today, so I'm going to become her butler today and do all the housework, try to make her happy. And it temporarily works, but then it goes down again because it's not a real result. It's just trying to almost buy the affection. That's not very effective either. Yeah. So you got to watch out for those little potholes in the road a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. What are your thoughts on? I mean, men and women like doing the chores around the house. Like she does a lot. She's a stay-at-home mom, which I value that. She does a lot for the kids. There's a lot for our family. I don't do much. I help out here and there, but she kind of does or takes the reins on the housekeeping and cleaning and things like that. It's not something that's not a strong suit of mine. What are your thoughts on that with men versus women in the household?
Good. Yeah. So the basics of masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy is leadership, ambition, decisiveness, protection, stuff like that, right? So controversially, a man being a stay-at-home dad is absolutely absurd while his wife goes to work. Stay-at-home mums are absolutely fantastic, absolutely beautiful part of a family. If a woman wants to work, that's okay too, but really the best thing, it seems, if a stay-at-home mom's really, really good at that particular position, the family really strives and it's really fantastic for the kids. So totally brilliant. And it also depends how much is on her plate. Okay. So for example, you don't have to do any housework, Dale, but at the same time, if Kiki's it's just overloaded, it's just too much, something simple like hiring a cleaner once a week for 2 hours. Pretty cheap.
But
and it makes a huge difference.
But what if you're like so OCD about certain things that
See?
it's hard to get a cleaner to do it, because I want to do it. But like, it's so funny that we're talking about this. So like his simple thing, like, he works like I do a lot of the chores around the house. So like, I think it's hilarious. Like if I go have a girls' night or go do something, he'll be like, I'll come home and he'll be like, hey, I loaded the dishwasher. I mean, am I supposed to hand clap or are you supposed to get some booty or what? Like, I do that every day. So I think it's funny when every now and then he'll throw out like these little things of what he's done around the house. And I'm like, am I supposed to applaud him and be like, oh my God, that's wonderful. Thanks for helping me out.
I love it.
I'm trying to get words of affirmation, dude. I'm just trying to get my reward,
Yeah. Yeah. Remember that triangle method, guys. Remember the triangle method.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of times this is a lot of good advice. So like, I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. Like, we've been together so long, like, he's basically my brain and I'm his brain. I don't know. We're just so much alike in so many ways because we've been together more alike than we haven't been without our life, and there's never been a time where we might get mad at each other, but it's not like, oh, I don't love you.
Yeah, we've all. I think without even thinking that subconsciously we do that. We do put our relationship first, and we've never had time apart. We never like try to call it quits. We never had any issues to where we've always like, okay, the bickering's, it is what it is, but the relationship and our marriage is way more important than anything we're going through.
Right, because half the time we'll bicker, laugh. I mean, we'll bicker, get mad. The next thing you know, like we're laughing, cutting up, hugging, and kissing. You know, that's just how we are. You know, but I know that's hard. Like you said, we shouldn't bicker or have a disagreement. It's not good for our triangle relationship.
It's gonna happen, but
Yeah, you guys definitely have a good relationship. You guys are going pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't stress too much. Clearly, I have a good relationship. We want to keep bickering to a minimum, but I think you guys are pretty good.
yeah, no, it's always it's minimal, it's regular married stuff, man. I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. Hey, so what troubles do you like? Why do you think more marriages are failing these days? Like, what are your thoughts behind that? And I know you're trying to combat that because I'm sure you get the divorcees, and then you work on people that are probably about to lose their marriage, and you're trying to coach all of them, right? So, what do you think the biggest thing is? Like, why the failed marriages so much? You think that you're seeing?
There's two reasons. There's actually a whole myriad of reasons why relationships don't last as long these days. Were relationships way better 100 years ago? No. Why was there no divorces? Well, they needed each other, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're in a bad relationship 100 years ago, you wouldn't think of breaking up because you needed each other just to barely survive. The relationship may have been terrible and you don't really like each other, but just the chance of just nearly surviving goes up dramatically if you are together. So that's my thought why divorces weren't very common back then. They're very common right now because we don't need each other very much, but why don't people want to be together? A few reasons. They choose the wrong person to begin with. They choose someone who's not their ideal partner. And then often they just don't know how to do relationships properly. They don't know how to embrace masculine and feminine energy or communicate effectively. They have a fairly toxic mindset in themselves anyway. So they lack that emotional maturity, and they basically act like toddlers and have tantrums and all sorts of toxic stuff. So if you really want a good relationship and ensure that you have a 10 out of 10 for the rest of your life, you got to make sure you choose the right person and understand just the basics of relationships. Not even a lot of the advanced stuff that I talk about, just the basics. And choosing the right person, you'll be absolutely fantastic. But here's something that is really important to remember. If you do everything right, but you're with the wrong person, you will 100% fail.
Right. No, I get that. I mean, there's some people, you know if people or friends are like, they had tons of issues prior to getting married, and like getting married is not going to fix that. That's not going to fix that problem. Having kids is not going to fix that problem. You're just bringing more people into the fold to have, I guess, to let down eventually, right?
So toxic.
And I feel like nowadays, like, so many people, they give up so easily. And like, when you marriage, it's death till us part. So you're going to go through like the easy time, the hard times. But I don't know why these days, people just give up so easy. But like you said from the beginning, they're just not meant for one another. I don't know. Which is crazy though. So I don't understand that. So like, I mean, so you go out on a date, they connect. I mean, I just don't see how you're married into 10 years and so they were never right for one another.
There's a lot of things that can change that too.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
no intimacy in a marriage or any kind of, there's a lot of issues that could happen. I'm guessing that could cause one to, you have there's plenty of issues you can have in a marriage. And then if somebody was to be unfaithful, things like that. But like you're saying, that marriage was already done before then, right?
Well and truly. If you want to imagine attraction, guys, remember I was talking about attraction before. Attraction is like walking up a ladder. Okay, you have a step ladder. Okay, as you walk up, the attraction goes up. Okay, now in a long-term relationship, and it falls apart and people drift apart like this, they're slowly walking down the ladder, one rung at a time. Okay, so they were up here. The relationship was pretty good, but then just tinily, slowly drift apart over 10 years, and the attraction slowly drops till they get down here and they go, I hate this person, I don't love them, what am I even here for? And they've drifted apart to such a degree that it's over.
Yeah, I guess and that happens, man. The bad thing is it happens more times than not with a lot of people, you know.
They don't know how to measure and build attraction.
Yeah, and I think, like you're saying, I think if the guy gets too emotional and you can be, or if if you let yourself go, if you were once in shape, or if you just don't value how you look yourself, or you hate yourself, the other person can't love you. I mean, I think that's a big thing of it as well.
Oh, 100%. 100%. If you have really low confidence, it's going to lead to overthinking, which also leads to more self-sabotaging behavior. It just goes downhill, spirals pretty fast.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Oh, so how long have you been doing this this coaching and counseling?
About 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And so what's been your biggest, like, I guess your biggest mix is mainly you having single people trying to get to a 10 of 10 themselves to find their own relationship. That's your biggest clientele.
Yeah, 100%. So most of the people I coach are single parents, divorced single parents. I help them find someone new and show them how to get a 10 out of 10, someone who's more suited to them. And that's the last relationship they ever have. Including that mix is a lot of widows too. I coach a lot of widows in the 10 out of 10s.
Yeah, I'm sure that's tough.
Yeah.
What's the challenge with them? I guess because they lost. I mean, that was man. I don't know. That's a tough one. I would think they may have been in a 10 out of 10 relationship. You know.
Yeah, it takes. Usually, I find they usually achieve a 10 out of 10 about 3 or 4 years after their husband dies. Just emotionally to move forward, so then they can embrace a good future. But they have a great future as well.
Okay. So, hey, one thing I've seen, I mean, I watch a lot of your videos, a lot of your reels. What are your thoughts on, I don't know if you get any haters or not. Everybody's got haters online. I was just wondering, like, I feel like a lot of your stuff is to the point and maybe a little blunt for people. I think that's just probably people just don't want to be, or they don't want to hear the truth, right? Or they don't understand the masculinity, femininity stuff that you preach. And like, so how do you handle that? What's been the biggest thing for you with that?
It doesn't really bother me too much. The way I see it is just, I guess, ignorance. So I don't let it offend me too much. It's kind of like if you're walking down the street in a purple shirt and a toddler says, "That I hate that color," you go, "Okay." Who cares? I just see them as a little kid, so it doesn't really matter. Some people go, okay, you should be intimate 3 times a week in a relationship. And you get crazy people on there. Relationships aren't about intimacy, and run off. And okay.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's more where I was going with it. I think it's just I think some people just are afraid of I don't know. I don't get it because it makes a lot of sense to me because of it's simple things. It's you're not reinventing the wheel. I feel like you're just really stating some nice things that people need to be working on. And a lot of people ever want it's just be rainbows and dreams every day, but it's some work. But you gotta be a man needs to be a man, a woman needs to be a woman in the relationship, right? I mean that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, 100%. Some people call me a controversial type relationship coach. I don't feel particularly controversial though. I feel like but anyway.
So what would be your advice for people that they don't feel like they're in a 10 of 10 relationship? What are some, I know you got your steps that you have, but what are some things you would tell somebody just, I guess their first time they're messaging you saying, hey, I need some help. Where do I need to start?
So depending on the relationship they're in, if it's really, really, really bad, and they probably shouldn't be together, I'll just say, look, it's just time to end it. It's too toxic. They're not your ideal partner. Too much damage has been caused. It's time to go. If it's okay and it's probably fixable, then what we want to do is we'd start with mindset and doing the fundamentals. But yeah, often a lot of times, a lot of people come to me and I just go, are you insane? This relationship has to end. This they've cheated on each other 10 times and there's been abuse and domestic violence and all this stuff. And I go, you've got to end it immediately. This is absurd. So some people they try to persevere through absolutely ridiculous situations. Don't be proud of yourself persevering through a very bad situation. That's not something to be proud about. That's just unwise.
Yeah, I did hear one of your takes about, let's say, if there was a infidelity in a relationship, and you said that's hard to, or you can't come back from that. You said that's pretty much a deal breaker all along. So is that still your stance on that? I mean, where do you stand on that? Far as, I mean, I know how I would feel if that happened to me, and you would feel like, yeah, that's done. I guess until that was to happen to you, you don't know what you would do, but. That seems like it'd be a tough thing to come back from in any relationship to get back to, let's say, a 10 to 10 like you're talking about.
I think once infidelity or any sort of cheating's occurred, the relationship's over forever. Any sort of betrayal, it's too detrimental. It's too damaging to love at its core. Love's a very fickle type thing, so. Cheating and affairs, betrayal, all that sort of thing, it's so jarring in our brains as human beings that you're never going to be able to forget it, and it causes that long-term extreme damage, which is too hard to glue back together. So, and another thing to remember, your ideal partner would never cheat on you either, okay? So just one thing also for people to remember out there, cheating, a lot of people think the relationship's good and then cheating occurs and the relationship goes bad. It's never, ever like that. The relationship's good, and then it goes bad, and then cheating occurs. That's the way it happens every time. So in a 10 out of 10 relationship, cheating never happens with anybody, okay? So you got to remember that order. If it's cheating's happened, as you said before, Dale, it's been over for ages already anyway.
So do you also help with, like, friendship relational coaching, not just like spouses and like?
So when I'm coaching someone, they often come to me for normal romantic relationships, but then often I help them a lot with all relationships because you can sort of do it all. So sometimes I'm helping someone with their boss at work or their son or their neighbor. Like, a lot of the same things can be applied through all relationships, not just romantically. Yeah. Now, in saying that, guys, don't be intimate with your neighbors, okay?
Oh, we don't like our neighbors. No, I'm kidding. We don't talk to our neighbors down our road, okay?
So what's been your? I mean, I guess how do you judge your, like, what are you doing, like what you're doing for your clients? Do you have a success rate you try to do? Do you have? How do you judge what you're doing to being successful and to, you know, I guess I guess you get a lot of your clients from referrals, I would bet. So is that how you judge your success for what you're doing?
So the easiest way for me to judge if someone's successful is basically while I'm coaching them, then they ring me up one day and they say, hey, I'm in a 10 out of 10 relationship. Perfect. That's success. So they have to tell me whether they're in a 10 out of 10. And as in time-wise, everyone I coach becomes successful eventually. Right. On average, almost everyone I coach achieves a 10 out of 10 within 6 months. So it's actually pretty fast. Like if a couple like you guys come to me, I get a normal couple to a 10 out of 10 in about 2 or 3 months. It's actually pretty fast just by teaching them the fundamentals, making sure they do it. 2 or 3 months they're at a 10 out of 10. A single person, because I got to help them find their ideal partner. I build their online dating profile. I do all that stuff for them. That usually takes them about 4 months, somewhere around there. But by the 6 month mark, basically everyone's achieved a 10 out of 10. There's a few stragglers, but the following 6 months, everyone else achieves it. So which I think is a pretty good track record. I've coached thousands of people at this stage.
That's awesome. So, okay, so you have a family, you have 2 kids, so, like, I know you're coaching us and everybody, so do y'all stick to your 5 method rule? I know it's kinda hard because, like, with us, I mean, our kids are both in sports, so, like, I know it's hard to achieve all 5 of those, especially, like, the last 2, like, doing the hobby thing or doing, like, a date thing, because a lot of times, just during the week, we're just so busy, so a lot of times ours is, like, I guess catching up on the weekends, but sometimes it's even hard like that, so it's
One
hard to
one
achieve
thing
all of that.
I One thing I do a lot, Kiki, is I make sure my self-talk is right. Okay, so all the fundamentals, even doing an ice bath, I do lots of ice bath, cold plunges as well. I don't really use that terminology hard to do anywhere. Like easy for me to do. I've done a lot of hard things in the past. All this stuff I'm doing now, heaven. Complete cakewalk, easy, amazing. Happy to take my wife on a date every week. I'm excited. I've already got next week's date already planned. I'm excited for it. It's going to be awesome.
You hear that? Where are we going next week?
All that stuff is really easy. You got to make sure that you don't think in your brain that any of this stuff is hard to do, because that thought will make it harder as well.
Right. Yeah.
Tell yourself, hey, I'm excited to do it. It's going to be awesome. Like eating a box of donuts. Easy.
So so does he? So he doesn't always have to be the one that has to do a surprise date. The wife should do one too.
No.
No. Oh, just the man. Okay, I didn't listen right, did I?
No, he's
okay.
Yeah, he's
I didn't actually say that part earlier. So, guys, it's very important we remember what the word courtship means. Okay, courtship is a man courting a woman to raise her romantic feelings. It's never, ever a woman courting a man, ever, Kiki. He always takes you on the date. He opens your car door. He pays for the meal. He does everything. Your job's just to enjoy yourself.
All right.
You created a monster.
Start opening up that car door for me. It's been over a decade.
I am guilty of that, the car door thing. But I know it is a very nice gesture. It's a good thing, especially in public. I'm sure you like to see that, and then I just don't do it.
Yeah.
She's going to help you with it now as well, Dale. So.
Oh, he will. And sometimes I'll be going through a store, and he goes ahead of me. He don't even hold the door. I'm like, whoa, buddy, I'm coming. I wasn't fast enough. That's why.
You got to speed up. You're with me, man.
So what are you guys going to do from now on, Dale? Next time you guys go for a drive together, you'll hop out of the car and Kiki's just going to sit there. Just going to sit in the passenger, just smiling. You'll turn around, she'll still be sitting there. You're like, what are you doing? And she's like, smiling.
I'll be in the store.
Yeah.
It'll give you the mental cue to go and open her door for you. She's just going to be patient and happy, and wait for you to open the door like a gentleman.
Okay. Well, I can do that. It's a work in progress.
Not only, but remember, after you open the door as well, she's going to give you a massive kiss, Dale.
Okay, remember that?
Okay, I got that.
Yeah, you got to make sure she got to keep her end too, But no, man, like I said, hey, we appreciate you getting on here with us. Hey, real quick though, you recently, how long have you been married now?
I've been with my wife 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she a stay-at-home mom?
Technically, but she does so many things. She also works in this company, does a lot of things. I wouldn't really call it a stay-at-home mom because she does so many things. It's kind of, she does a lot. I definitely wouldn't be 10% as successful as I am today without her, that's for sure.
Awesome.
So how old are your kids, Jake? Did you hear me?
No, say again, brother.
Oh, I said, how old are your kids?
So our youngest is 15 months.
Okay.
And the oldest is 10.
Okay. Yeah, we got your hands full there.
Yeah, great kids.
Ours are 13 and 11. So yeah, I mean we're in different seasons, man. One's about to go to high school and one's about to be in middle school, and
And one's a boy, one's a girl. So
both in sports. But like, that's where I kind of said, like, we try to not be in that rut of being roommates per se at times, because you're just one's here, one's there. We're splitting our time, going everywhere. Then we meet up in the evenings. But the intimacy, it's always something we try to make sure that we're doing. That's another. It's just a good connection for us, and then getting out for dates. So, hearing this kind of stuff definitely helps us. Definitely can help other couples hear this kind of stuff, because, like I said, man, it is important, because if you stop doing these things, that's when you go down the road of like I said, I heard you saying that one thing is like, spend the time here. You rather do that than spend the time talking to a lawyer about divorcing.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, like I said, we appreciate it.
yes.
Thanks for jumping on here with us. We've had a good time. Appreciate your time. I know it's 7 a.m. over there in Australia, so we appreciate you doing this for us, and we'll be in touch, man. I appreciate it, Jake.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for the great questions, guys. Really, really good. And yeah, as you said, hopefully just a few little things in this podcast, hopefully it can help other people, and then they can improve a little bit as well. I think achieving a 10 out of 10 is really the best thing anyone can achieve, hey?
No, like I said, it made a lot of sense, man. That's why I wanted to talk to you, just for our sake, to talk to you. And, hopefully people that listen to us, they can hear about you and turn more people on to you. And we may have helped a relationship out by them seeing you and getting in touch with you, from here.
Pretty amazing, 100%.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye.
All right, man. Bye.
Bye.
Well, if you're still here with us, we just wrapped up with Mr. Jake Maddock, the 10 of 10 relationship coach. And me and Kiki had the pleasure of getting a chance to talk to him all the way from Australia. It's 7 a.m. his time, which is the day ahead of us. It's the 5th here, 6th there. And so what'd you think, Kiki?
I thought it was good. I love learning about, different things in their relationship. He gave us some great tips, like 5 fundamentals that you have to do with their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to take advantage of those things, of what he said.
Yeah, like I said, he said 7 nights of sex.
Bomb. He said 3 nights of sex.
At minimum. No, like I said, hey, so like we've talked about, intimacy is a big part. He talked about going on dates once a week, which we try to do.
But no high value dates.
Yeah, so that was one thing I liked when I heard about him on a podcast prior, him talking about high value dates, which are more intentional. It's like me asking Kiki, hey, you want to go on a date? Things like that. It's it's a little bit more exciting, and we need to do more than just go and grab a bite to eat and coming home. We need to do some stuff that's more fun for, like we get to go do some kind of activity together as well.
Right, yeah, because a lot of times, like when we want to go do something fun, we invite other couples, but we should break it back and, like you said, concentrate on us two, going to dinner, phones away, and then go and do a fun activity together with just us two.
Yeah, I like bringing him on. I know we've got some other marriage counselors and people like that we're trying to talk to. We're going to try to get on the relationship, on the podcast. Even though we've been together for 22 years,
it's still great to hear advice.
It's good to hear, and you're going to have different takes and different things from different people. What he has to say, I like it. I like what he has to say. I like, it may not be for everybody, but for me, I enjoyed it. I think Crystal enjoyed it. I think a lot of our viewers could take from it. Single people, married people as well. So
widowed.
He can anybody. Well, their widows are still single.
Okay.
So he can help out with any of that. So you can follow him on Instagram. Seems like he's pretty accessible through his website or through social media. So he would be willing to work with anybody. I'm sure that anybody's having any issues or wanting to get that 10 of 10 relationship in your marriage, or you're single trying to get 10 of 10 to where you can find that, to find your 10 of 10 relationship, he can help with that. So my advice is check him out, see what you think. He's got a ton of content out there for you can listen to and get some ideas. And he talks about the fundamentals, and he talks about
the 90-10. the man gives 90% of the intimacy and the girl gives
No,
10.
it's not gives.
Oh.
Initiates.
Oh, initiates. Sorry, gives, initiates.
Yeah. So yeah, because I asked him about that. I was, we were curious to see what, because I think a downfall for all relationships, the women doesn't initiate enough or whatever. But his take on it is should be 90-10. That doesn't mean it's the right thing. That's what he's got to go by. And so he's coached and done relationships, and that's successful. Like, hey, I get it. I mean, I think it'd be hard to have a female initiate more anyway, because I do feel like it is more of a man's thing to do. But I don't know, Kiki. I try to 15%.
But I do look forward in her date night next week. It's going to be a surprise. He has to tell me. He's going to tell me how to dress, and most importantly, he's going to open up my car door for me.
Yep.
Because he hasn't done that in a decade. Because he gave advice on
It's been a long
taking her
time.
out, open the car door. I'm like, wait, what? Open the car door, and he says you have to wait there patiently and don't get mad.
Yep.
And be happy about it. So then when he opens the door for you, could be however long it takes. You sit there happy. I gotta give him a kiss.
Yep. So
Can't
you better
get
give me a
mad.
kiss, or I'm gonna tell Jake that you failed. But yeah, one other thing I'll touch on. He talked about the relationship stuff. About think of it as a triangle. The bottom 2 points are me, Crystal. The relationship is the top. So no matter what we go through, arguments, disagreements, things like that, the normal stuff you would have within a couple, just know that the relationship is the high point that is the most valuable. So make sure the relationship is the main focus on everything that you're doing. So you've had some little spats, it happens, but it's not going to be to the detriment of our relationship, because we know and we value our marriage and having our kids and things like that. So we want to make sure that's always more important.
Right.
So but yeah, that was the conclusion of Happily Ever Banter podcast this week. Special guest Jake Maddock, all the way from Australia. So we appreciate him, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. And probably next episode will be just me and Kiki. So like I said, if you have any questions or things you want us to talk about, why don't you hit us up, send us a message on Instagram, comment on our YouTube channel, whatever you want to do, and we'll be happy to talk about it. We're an open book. Crystal probably says a little too much sometimes, but that's part of it, and so we're excited. So thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see y'all next week.